Following yesterday's events, I'm declaring a state of emergency to help us deal with this plane crash. It allows us to move resources more quickly through emergency management and the Kentucky National Guard. It allows state resources to be used also through our agencies to be readily available, including disaster resource management, expenses related to response, and more, as well as reimbursement. It's going to make sure that groups that are already limited in terms of their funding can get some immediate or short-term help as they wait for reimbursement for the costs that they've expended. Additionally, I've taken action to establish the Team Kentucky Emergency Relief Fund to help those affected by this terrible event. The URL for this site is going to be on the screen. Similar to previous storm disaster funds, every dollar donated will go directly to those affected. In fact, what we've done is we've gone and amended the Team Kentucky Storm Relief Fund to now allow families impacted by a disaster like this to also benefit from the generosity of Kentuckians. Remember, the first thing that we pay for out of these funds are funerals, so that in a time of nobody is worried about that. In Kentucky, we grieve together and we support one another. Donations will help pay for funerals and for response, recovery, and rebuilding. All right, while Kentucky is responding to this crisis in Louisville following yesterday's deadly plane crash, we must also remember the challenges that our families are facing due to a lack of SNAP benefits brought on by the Trump administration. This is a program that was under attack early by following the big, ugly bill. That's why in June I wrote a letter to Kentucky's congressional delegation urging them to consider the harmful impacts of this legislation and how it would hit our people, because SNAP is crucial for Kentucky. In our Commonwealth, over 600,000 Kentuckians rely on SNAP. That's 1 of 8 of our people, many of which are kids. These families need this support to avoid going hungry.
All right, everyone, you've been with Kentucky
1st, the federal
Governor Andy Beshear there during his Team Kentucky update. Brooke, we want to break down for people who are just joining us some of the most important takeaways. I think one of the biggest things is that Governor Beshear is declaring a state of emergency, which we know allows funds to be more easily moved around so that people who are paying for relief efforts can be reimbursed, so that they can take care of emergency management efforts in the state. So that is one big, huge takeaway, Governor Beshear declaring a state of emergency.
And just recently, in the last moment or so, he mentioned that Storm Kentucky, the Storm Relief Fund, I should say, for all of our disasters from the flooding and tornadoes. Now he has opened that up to also include the victims of this deadly crash. And as you know, it has been typical with his administration that within that fund, the very first dollars to leave it are dollars that go to the funerals of our victims. So at this point, we have 9 of those to plan for, with 9 confirmed dead, but he also did say they are anticipating at least 1 more. We know 2 people out of the 15 that were sent to the hospital, 2 people are critical in the burn unit at U of L Hospital. So I can only imagine when he mentioned they're anticipating at least 1 more, that might be where we're going with that. But of course, no names, no identification was discussed in that part of his news conference.
And Governor Beshear did say, when it comes to that total of people injured and people who have passed away, that, he is going to be coming back here to Louisville with Mayor Greenberg to survey the site, and that when we hear from Mayor Greenberg here in about 20 minutes or so, that there could be a little bit more information coming out about the number of people injured, because certainly that has been a bit of a roving number. The amount in the hospital could potentially be different from the amount missing, reported missing at the Family Reunification Center, which Governor Beshear pointed out is still open. A couple of other things I want to point out that that Governor Beshear said during that news conference. He listed off so many fire departments.
I couldn't keep up. I tried doing it myself.
I think I have almost all of them. I won't read them to you just now, but maybe we'll get to that here in a few minutes. But we do know that it was 50 trucks, 50 fire trucks that responded to the initial scene. 200 first responders. And maybe some of the people that haven't gotten a shout out exactly yet are those first responders that Governor Beshear said then came in to backfill other departments. So that's Vine Grove, West Point, Simpsonville, Shelby County, all of them coming in to relieve crews that have been here in Louisville helping us through this tragedy.
And we know how much of a disaster it already is, but he also wanted to mention, too, in proximity to where this crash happened, you're feet away from the Ford factory and the Expo Center, and the fact that, I mean, the disaster, the span of that could have been so much worse with these buildings nearby. So we are thankful for that NTSB lead, he said, on the causation. So any questions of how did this happen and why, that's going to be NTSB answering those questions, and they should be here in Louisville. And again, with the governor surveying the damage today, he mentioned 38,000 gallons of fuel on that flight, with Okolona Fire being the main one. But as you heard, more than a dozen responding throughout our county and beyond.
And Brooke, one other thing that we haven't mentioned yet that the governor did talk about, we've been speaking about the shelter in place, which has been reduced to a quarter mile around that area of Grade Lane. But right now, the governor is asking that people that are immediately in that crash site not drink water. That is going to be a crucial update if you live in that area. The governor said that all of the other suburbs, other areas of the county and of our city are now safe, air quality doing okay, but they're out of an abundance of caution asking folks who live in the immediate area around Grade Lane not to drink water from their taps.
And that'll be a question maybe we can start asking with the Louisville Water Company too, to see exactly why and how that all comes about as far as consuming the water. So hopefully we can get those questions soon. Our Travis Breeze, our focus investigator, he's been doing just a little bit of digging on the type of plane this is. We've all seen the UPS planes. We call them the birds in the sky because there are so many of them here in Louisville. But of course, UPS has 6 types of aircraft, and the MD-11, which is what this aircraft was, is its 3rd largest. He said the 2 others are both variations of the 747. And according to a fact sheet from 2021, UPS had 42 MD-11s in its fleet, which made up about 15% of its aircraft. And